So today I am continuing my Sloper series, and I am going to be working on my one-piece sleeve sloper. When you master the sleeve sloper, you can create beautiful sleeves, from short sleeves to bold, beautiful bold sleeves like this one, and any type of sleeve that you want. So stick with me, and we're going to go step by step on how to create the sleeve sloper. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Aletha of Ribbons and Zippers, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you stopped by. Today, as mentioned, I am going to be continuing my series. It is the Sloper series, and today we're going to talk about the one-piece sleeve sloper. I think that you're going to enjoy everything that you see, so don't go anywhere, stick with me, and we're going to learn how to create a one-piece sloper sleeve based off your own measurements. Okay, to start, I'm going to be using my bodice block. And you might wonder, why am I using my bodice block if I'm going to be making a sleeve? Well, that's because my arm side is already created for my size. So if you've already have a bodice block that fits perfectly for your designs, use your bodice block. And what I'm going to be doing is I have this white see-through paper that I use. I usually use this to make patterns. I call it my pattern paper, but in actuality, it is the type of paper that you would find at a doctor's office. You can get those online. So what I'm going to do is just use what I can see underneath my paper and start creating my sleeve. All right. So let's get started. Okay, so go ahead and grab your tools. I am going to use my tools, my pencil, which it has an eraser, but you can get an extra eraser if you'd like. You're going to need your paper, scissors. I'm going to be using my tape measure and my ruler, which is a Dritz see-through ruler. It's a great ruler to use. It has holes in the ruler that's every half of an inch. I think that's great to use. I'm also going to be using my pattern ruler. This one is in metric, so just take note of that. If you're going to be using this to measure, just make sure you're measuring in centimeters and not inches. And I'm also going to use my ruler to square off. So as I mentioned, I can see through my paper, so I can see this line that goes across. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw that line. I can see it very clearly through the paper, which I really suggest that you use paper that you can see through if you're going to use this method. Okay, so I have a line. Now, what I want to do is I want to tape my paper so that it does not move on me at all. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and square off at my front bodice armhole. Okay, so for this sleeve pattern, you're going to need your arm side measurement, and that is the total armhole circumference, not the arm side depth, because we need the total arm side measurement. So that is measured by taking a measurement from the tip of your shoulder seam all the way around to under your armhole, and then back up to the tip of your back shoulder seam. So if you're doing it on yourself, it's sort of difficult. You may need to get assistance However, if you have already created your bodice block, you can take a measurement by holding your tape up sideways like this, and then just measuring all the way around the circumference of your armhole from tip to tip. And when I took this measurement, I came up with 15 3/4 of an inch. So what I want to do is divide that by 3 and create my starting point. So I am going to, with my ruler, use the very edge of this armhole. And there is a line here. That's why it's very good to use your see-through paper and your bodice block that you've already created, because when we created our bodice block, we used a lot of lines. So those lines are already there. So here is a line that I already created right along the edge of my armhole. And so I'm just going to take that line and I'm going to measure 5 1/4 of an inch, because my total measurement is 5 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to measure 5 1/4 inches. That's 1/3 of my armhole measurement. You want to make sure it's 5 1/4 of an inch and that it hits the edge of the armhole. So that's my first measurement. And I'm going to number this number 1. Okay? And I'm going to number this point number 2. Okay. So number 1 and number 2. So that's my line. Then I'm going to go half of this line. So we said it was 5 1/4. So we can easily take our tape measure 5 1/4, fold it in half. That way you don't have to do a whole lot of math. Fold it in half to get your perfect measurement. So I'm going to measure up and I'm going to mark that point. And I'm going to mark this point as number 3. Okay, so that's half of this line, 5 1/4 divided by 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to square over from this line all the way across to my back armhole. And let's make sure that it's nice and square. This is why I use this ruler. You can use this ruler, or you could use any ruler where you can see through to make sure that you're squared off. So here on this ruler I have a line. So I'll put my line directly over the line that I created. Oh, okay, so now we're just going to square across to the back armhole. And we're going to mark that as number 4. Okay, just square across. Now, I want to go ahead and continue my line. Okay, so now we said that this line was 5 1/4, and we divided it just by using our tape measure and folding it in half. I came up with a measurement of 2 5/8. But now I need another measurement. So I need to divide 2 5/8 in half. So I'm going to get another measurement of 1 5/16 of an inch. So I'm going to take that measurement, 1 5/16 of an inch, and I'm going to mark that. So 1 5/16 of an inch, I'm going to mark that as number 5, but I need to be on the line of my arm, which is right here. So I'm going to mark that as 5A. So this is the point that I'm looking for. Now, I need to find my shoulder point, which is my front shoulder point, which is here. And go ahead and mark on your white paper. Even though you know that that's the shoulder point, you still want to put a mark there. So, I have my point 5A, and I need to measure up to 6. And I'm going to use my ruler by measuring along the line, and I come up with 5 inches, but I need to add another 3/8 of an inch. So 5 3/8 of an inch. So what I'm going to do is at that point, 5 3/8 of an inch, I am going to go ahead and touch my balance line that I created here at the top, here, and I'm going to mark that as number 7. Then I'm going to take my ruler and draw a straight line from 5A to 7. Now I am going to find a point here on my back shoulder point, and I'm going to create my mark, and I'm going to mark that as number 8. Now I need to find another curve measurement. So here I have my number 4. So I'm going to measure from 4 up to 8 the same way that I did measuring this curve, and I'm also going to add 3/8 of an inch to that measurement. Okay, so the measurement that I get from 4 to 8 is 4 inches, and I need to add another 3/8 of an inch. And so I need to make another line from 7. So we had our connecting line from 5A to 7. Now I need to go from 7 to 9, and that's going to be 4 3/8 of an inch. And I'm going to mark that as number 9. And I'm going to go ahead and connect 7 and 9 with my ruler. Okay, so I have my armhole starting to form. Now I'm going to mark another point, and that is this point right here, right in between my, it's the center of my back bodice and my front bodice. And I'm going to mark this one as number 10. So that's 10. Okay, so I marked the center and I labeled it as number 10. So now I need to take another measurement, and that's going to be my measurement over here from 5A to 10. And I'm going to take that measurement, but I'm going to deduct 1/8 of an inch from my measurement. Okay, so I took my measurement, and my measurement from 5A to 10, I get 2 3/4 of an inch. And as I said, I need to minus 1/8 of an inch. So 2 3/4 of an inch minus 1/8 of an inch will give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to take that measurement of 2 5/8 of an inch, and I'm going to find a point on this balance line starting from 5A to 2 5/8 of an inch. It is right here. And I'm going to draw in that line. So from 5A to my balance line is 2 5/8 of an inch. That is the same length as this curve. And I'm going to go ahead and connect those points. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that as number 11. So now I have my point here, which is number 9. This point needs to connect to this balance line, but I need to go ahead and measure my curve from 4 to 10. And that's going to be the length of my line to this balance line. So again, with my tape measure, I'm going to measure from 4 to 10 with my tape measure, and I'm going to go ahead and take another 1/8 of an inch off of my measurement. So from 4 to 10, I come up with minus 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to have 3 7/8 of an inch. So 3 7/8 of an inch from my point number 9 to my line. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect those points. I hope you can see that these are not straight lines. So one point does not go all the way straight to that point. It's curved in a way that is going to start beginning to look a lot like a one-piece sleeve. All right. So before I continue, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you can be reminded of any time I do these types of videos. So now I'm going to go from my point number 7, and I'm going to use my ruler because we already know that we have to square our lines so they become perfectly squared when we use the correct tools. So from 7 down, I'm going to make a straight line. Now I need to know what my sleeve length is, so that's the next measurement that we're going to need. So we don't need a lot of measurements to make a sleeve. We just need to know our full arm side, which is our circumference, and we need to know our sleeve length. So for the sleeve length is about 23 inches, and that's going to be my sleeve length. Okay, so I squared down to 23 inches, and I'm going to just go ahead and square across. I'm going to use my see-through ruler and get a nice line that I can use to square both ways. So I have my line squared across on both sides. Now I need to square down from both points, from 11 down to the line that I made, and from 12 down to my line. So we have a few steps left. So as you can see, this is a point. So it's not quite a rounded off sleeve. So we're going to go ahead and take care of that. So we're going to start rounding off our sleeve head, and we're going to start with our points. We're going to start from the back, and this is going to be my point 12 to my point 9. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a curve from point 12 to point 9. I'm going to use 5/16 of an inch. I'm going to find the center of my point from 12 to 9. That's going to be about a little less than 2 inches, so like right here. And I'm going to measure 5/16 of an inch off of that line. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and go from 9 to 7, and I'm going to measure up off of my line. And I'm going to measure, that measurement is going to be a bigger curve of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/16 of an inch. It's almost a half of an inch. So let me find my halfway point. Okay, it's 4 1/2, so it's 2 1/4, so right about here. and I'm going to make, my point is going to be 7/16 of an inch. So here's where's my point going to be. So now before I move on to go down, I'm going to go ahead and start drawing in my curves. So my first curve is my point 12 to 9. Now I need to curve over to make a curve over to my top. All right. So I can go ahead and freehand my curves and clean that up later, but pretty much this is pretty good. So now I'm going to curve around from my 7 to my 5, and 7 is 7 to 5, not 7 to 5A, from 7 to 5, okay? So that is going to be another about 7/16 of an inch, the same thing that I did on the other one. So the same measurement. So we're going to find the middle point, 2 3/4, so right about here, and we're going to do 7/16 of an inch. And we're going to curve out, and then we're going to curve back under. Again, once we get to the 5, then we're going to curve under again, and that is going to also be 7/16 of an inch. So let's find the middle point. About 1 1/4 is here. So we're going to go in 7/16 of an inch. All right, so let's start curving. We want to curve back down to, we get to our 5, okay, and then curve in. So from 5 to 11, we're going to curve in. Okay, so here's my sleeve cap. I darkened it in as much as I can, and I can always go back and clean that up. So that is my sleeve cap. Now, what we did was we used our armhole circumference, or arm side measurement, the whole arm side measurement, to measure exactly how much of a sleeve cap that we were going to have. So this sleeve cap fits exactly into that hole, and that's what we're going for. So no matter what size you are, if you did a bodice sloper that fits your size and it's perfect on all of the garments that you've made, and you want to go ahead and draft the sleeve, that's how you would do it. These measurements fit exactly the measurements of this armhole. Okay, so now this is a one-piece sleeve, and as you can see, it's a straight sleeve. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. But what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to taper in my sleeves a little bit, and I'm going to curve it at the bottom. So I'm going to do 7/16 of an inch. So I'm going to get my measurement, like 6.5. So that's 3 1/4. So 3 1/4 right there. And I'm going to go down on the back side, 7/16 of an inch. And over here, the same exact thing. And I think it should be about the same. Yes, it is. So this is about 6 inches. So we're going to just go in the middle, 3 inches. And I'm going to go up 7/16 of an inch. All right, perfect. And I don't know if I told you before that I marked this point 13, I marked this point 14, and I marked this point 15. So this is my curved arm my sleeve. Okay, now what I want to do, and this is the very, very last step, I'm just going to measure in about 1 inch. Let's measure in 1 inch. Okay, so I'm only going to the line, and I'm going to go to the line over here as well. So here we have it. Here we have it. I've tapered in, and my sleeve cap is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this and then transfer it onto the manila paper. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed what you learned today. Please come back for more tips and techniques on how I create anything that has to do with special occasion wear.